My name is Arvind Kala and I live in Delhi. Why are we Indians so deferential to authority? Not just deferential, we are obedient. We are like little girls saying yes ma'am in a little girl's school. I was reminded of that when I did a video some months ago on India and China's border standoff in Ladakh. And a cousin of mine, a retired admiral, he messaged me to say that defense matters were best left to the government. More recently, I did a video on illegal Bangladeshis in India and why it was not desirable to deport them. Again, a friend of mine said that the government knows the best. But you know, the governments don't know the best. We've seen their blundering over the years. To take 2-3 examples, 50 years ago, Pakistan, West Pakistan, it attacked its eastern half. The Bengalis, they wanted autonomy. The western half, Pakistan didn't want to give that. So it attacked the eastern half. General Yahya Khan, the big boss in West Pakistan, it killed hundreds of thousands of Bengalis. The Bengalis broke off to form another nation, Bangladesh, and 93,000 Pakistani soldiers surrendered to our troops. Then 25 years earlier, talking to India, Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi sent the Indian army into Sri Lanka to fight Tamils there. We were able to do nothing. We lost 1,000 soldiers and the Indian army withdrew and Rajiv Gandhi ended up assassinated by the very Tamils he had tried to crush once. Now let's move to 17 years ago when George Bush II attacked Iraq to locate weapons of mass destruction which didn't exist. Today, 17 years later, American troops are still there. They've lost 7,000 people and they've spent billions of dollars to no avail. So let's shed this notion, let's bury this notion that governments are repositories of wisdom. So in India, there's a real third world mindset that the government knows best, And this mindset even affects people of my age and my background. People who just unhesitatingly accept whatever the government says or whatever. No, that is not how it is. Now, let me talk. What is the government? It's an amorphous entity. It consists of barely something like, maybe 10,000, 15,000 people, maybe 2,000 ministers in Delhi and in state capitals, top bureaucrats, policy experts, Reserve Bank ties, Niti Aayog ties. Maybe 10, 15,000. Are they the repositories of India's wisdom? No. Where does the wealth of India come from? From its information, for example, from its information sector, valued at $177 billion, B for Bombay. These are the ones who give employment. The information technology sector employs 4.5 million people, which is more than the entire number of central government employees and state government employees put together. And this information, and it's all in the private sector. Or if you look at Bajaj scooters, and the largest scooter manufacturer in the world, the jobs they give, and the wealth they produce, fantastic. Or you look at Jio or Airtel and Idea Cellular. When the government had a telecom monopoly, I couldn't get a phone at home. Now Jio and Mukesh Ambani and Kumar Mangalam and Sunil, they give calls for free. Now look at the airlines. Airlines, talking of when it was a government monopoly, I remember I paid 45,000 rupees for a return ticket, Delhi, Cochin, back to Delhi. Now 20 years later, the same ticket is 25,000. It's halved in fare. So again, who are these players? Indigo, SpiceJet, Go Air. So it's always the private sector which produces wealth. So let's shed this, deference to the government and see them as repositories of a country's wisdom. Now here, in this context, I'm reminded of one thing. You see, in India, what happens is if you say something which the government doesn't like, the government starts a sedition case against them. After Mr. Modi ascended the throne in 2014, 405 individuals have been charged with sedition in India. Now look at a guy like me. I'm sitting in my ancestral village in Garhwal, a village of 100, 200 people. And I may say something which doesn't conform with the government's this thing. Am I committing treason? Give me a break, man. Give me a break. Okay, folks, I'll be bidding you farewell now. It's time for me to go. But if you look below on the right side, there's a red subscriber button. And if you subscribe, that'll be nice. And if one of you subscribers is a young man who's about to get married, I'll meet your future father-in-law and ask him to give you a big fat dowry. Goodbye.